Welcome to multiple choice question 15 of the 2009 Mathematical Methods Exam 2. In this video we will be looking at the solution for this question. A reminder that this video is in no way endorsed by VCAA. And now before we move on, I'd just like to point out that the use of a CAS calculator may assist in answering this question, but I'll show both the by hand approach and what the calculator gives and compare them in this video. So for question 15, we're given y equals the square root of 1 subtract f of x. And if that's what y is equal to, then dy dx is equal to one of the following options. So the first approach that I'll show is using the chain rule to differentiate. So because we can identify a function inside a function, that's how I know that we need to use the chain rule. And to apply the chain rule, we're going to let u equal the inner function, which is 1 subtract f of x. And therefore, y is equal to the square root of u, which is the same as u to the power of a half. Next, we need to find du dx. So 1 subtract f of x derives to just being negative f dashed of x. So there the 1 has derived to 0, and negative f of x, because we don't know the rule for f of x, is just symbolically negative f dashed of x when derived. And next we need to calculate dy du. So that's going to equal 1 half u to the power of negative a half, when we take the power out the front and subtract 1 off the power. Now, I'm just going to rearrange this is the same as 1 divided by 2, and then using the negative to put on the bottom line of the fraction and the half to turn it into a square root, that's just 1 divided by 2 root u. So the chain rule says that dy dx is equal to dy du times du dx. So therefore, for this question, we'd have dy dx is equal to dy du, which is 1 divided by 2 root u. But instead of the square root of u, I'm going to put 1 minus f of x back inside now. And then we're going to multiply that by negative f dashed of x. And then just rearranging it into a form that matches one of these answers. This would be negative f dashed of x on the top line divided by 2 times the square root of 1 minus f of x. So we can compare that and see that option E is the correct answer for this question. And now the second method that I want to show you is using a calculator to do this question. So on the CAS calculator, go into the main menu. Next, we actually need to make sure that our variables are all cleared so that we don't have the function f already defined as something. So I'm going to, on this style of calculator, go into the cog and go variable manager. Tick main, because it does have one thing stored in it, and go edit delete. It will ask if I want to delete it. Okay. It says it's locked or protected, but pressing OK will show that this goes to 0 variables now. So next we want to type in the rule for y. So I'm going to go keyboard, and then we need the square root, which is 1 subtract f of x. So going into ABC, I'm just going to type in f bracket variable x. And then we're going to calculate this derivative. So we're going to highlight that and go interactive calculation diff. It's with respect to x, and we can press OK. And this says that the derivative is negative d dx of f of x divided by 2 times the square root of negative f of x plus 1. And thinking back to what we got by hand, the negative d dx of f of x on the top line is just the same as negative f dashed of x. And on the bottom line, we've still got our 2 and then the square root of 1 subtract f of x. But obviously the order is negative f of x plus 1 on the calculator, but they are the same thing. So that output is the same as what we'd already found by hand, but you still do need to interpret that as negative f dashed of x on the top line of the fraction. From the examiner's report, we can see that this question was moderately well done, with 74% of students managing to get the correct answer for that question.